Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Wherever you are, welcome and thank you for attending our AI Isn't Scary webinar. We have an agenda today. If we could flip to that slide. So we're going to talk about why summon the power of AI and how to scare up suitable AI business problems and what lurks behind the curtain, peek into the crystal ball of AI use cases, conjure the power and storage required for AI workloads, and then we'll gather around the cauldron at one of our upcoming workshops. It is Halloween, so we chose kind of an a Halloween theme. So pardon, we're being a little goofy here, but I hope everyone's having a good Halloween and ready to enjoy the festivities later on. I'm Jeff Gray, VP of Digital Transformation at ACP Creative IT. I've been with ACP for a little over 10 years. I focus mainly on large enterprise customers and helping them with their digital transformation initiatives. I've been working in AI for about the last 4 years, helping customers navigate data placement issues and how to build infrastructures around AI and when to do cloud and when to do on-prem, how to allocate expensive resources and share them among many team members. So I've got quite some experience in AI. With me today, I have Meek of Hewlett Packard Enterprise. He's a regional compute business manager. He'll be talking to you about HPE's offerings related to AI. And then I also have Zack Pringle from IronYun. Uh, he's going to talk about his Vaidio AI vision platform. We have kind of a packed agenda, so let's go ahead and get started. We'll talk a little bit about ACP Creative IT. ACP Creative IT is a combination of four companies that have been, small IT providers, all started by single individuals, and then we've merged together under one name, ACP Creative IT. We bring a lot of different focuses and experiences and regional presences together to form one blockbuster company. We are greater than the sum of our parts. Um, and then okay, here we are. Our capabilities include endpoint deployment infrastructure, data center, cybersecurity, physical security, AV, AI, cloud, unified communications. We have expertise in all these areas and a great team that can work together to, why is it AI assisted bugging me? Hold on. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Um, we, we combine these technologies to provide solutions for our customers. We've been doing it approximately 30 years at each of the four different companies. Some we would say we've got 120 years of combined experience, but 120 years ago, I don't think we actually had computers. So we'll just say it's 30 each. We've been at it for many years. We're heavily certified with all the big IT manufacturers. I think I hold like 5 master's certifications at HPE, but I kind of lost count. Um, I'm happy to be here talking about AI with all you folks, and the reason for bringing us all together here is that AI can be kind of scary for a lot of people, and um, it's difficult to navigate what all the pieces and components are. How can you actually get started? Sometimes it seems a little bit too complicated to even take the first step. So we're gonna clear some of that away for you and hopefully get you moving in a direction that suits your business. So we'll start off with a poll, and I'll just read it off here. Are you using AI today to solve business problems or create new business opportunities? Let's hear in the chat from anyone who would care to respond. We'll pause for a moment to, no, we got no, not yet. Yeah, yes. All right, everybody from ACP is saying yes. All right, that's good. We'll give it a few more seconds here and see if we have any other responses. But it seems so far to be a mix of both. Some are doing both, some are doing one or the other, maybe, and some haven't started. I see not yet, which means, hey, maybe we're going to start doing it, right? So it's not an unexpected mix here. So what are we doing? Why do we want to do AI at our companies, right? There's quite a few things that AI can bring for us, increased efficiency and automation, automating repetitive tasks. I could imagine having an assistant, a digital assistant, answer questions that I would have to log into an ERP system, look up a customer, and then type in a sales order number and do all these things. 5 minutes later, I might have the answer to a simple question. Whereas if I could just ask my AI assistant, hey, how many those bottles of root beer did my customer buy last week, right? And it can just say, oh, 32, right? And do it in with high speed and precision. It would make my life easier, right? AI can help in in decision making with analytics, and AI can draw inferences from data that the human mind just couldn't do quickly enough, right? So it's able to look at vast data sets and identify patterns and give me answers that I need to help optimize my business. Excuse me. In cybersecurity, it's our that AI has been in cybersecurity for quite a long time, doing anomaly and threat detection and alerting um, your network operations center on ongoing and immediate threats. So that's a wonderful use case for AI. Um, cost in terms of cost savings, we optimize resource usage and streamline processes, reducing operational cost. I just gave an example of being able to, chat with my ERP system as a way to save cost and allowing me to get a lot more work done in one day. Someone in the answer to the polls was talking about using Copilot AI. That can also be a efficiency driver for people who have to generate a lot of content, right? Email responses to customers, a quick write up about something they want to talk about. These can all be enhanced by AI, and make life easier for the daily task worker. Another one of my favorite is enhanced customer experience. Chatbots and recommendation engines can make a customer experience much better. Imagine if you were able to call in to, let's say you had to call your pharmacy to order a prescription refill. A lot of times that process can be rather painful, getting to the right area in the menu to request a refill or ask a question about when my prescription is going to be filled, for example. But one of my customers is actually working on that to provide a better interactive response for the customer, allowing them to stay competitive and hopefully beat the competition. So all of those things are are examples or areas in which AI delivers good results for companies. So in my own words, why do it? We can increase efficiency and reduce cost, offer a new product to a customer, or improve an existing product or experience for a customer. And the number one thing is to stay competitive, right? Imagine what if your competition came up with a way to use AI to improve their customer experience. You may find that your customers migrate to your competition. So you want to stay competitive. On to the next one. So how do we figure out what to do? And it's not easy to look at what other companies are doing in AI and figure out, well, how can I do that? My business is not the same. So you can't always just copy something that someone's already done. You're going to have to go figure out what's going to work. And we can help with that. So back to our Halloween theme, the data haunting assessment. We need to figure out where your data is, audit data, uncover what you possess, how good your data is, and where is your data. This is kind of foundational or critical to understanding how data can be used to drive AI solutions. In identifying frights, so we need to look for opportunities or challenges that your company faces, whether it's inefficiency, customer engagement, data analytics. Clearly defining pain points within your organization will help focus on the potential AI solution. Gathering the covenant. I like this one. Okay. So this is really, really important, right? You're one person at a company. You're not going to just come up with the killer app. Well, you might, but you really need to involve multiple stakeholders within the company. So you need to know how to gather people together to have conversations about what is really going to drive business results. Unless you understand the financials of a particular pain point, you may make a bad choice about you know finding a solution, but it's really just something that's kind of cool instead of something that's going to save $1 million, right? So, collaborating with members of your own team is an important part of uh, discovering what AI can do. We have to look at security and spell casting. We need to look at security implications. There's you want to be really careful with where your AI landscape sits. If you have highly sensitive data and you're not necessarily trusting in the public cloud, you may need to consider keeping everything fenced within the walls of your data center. Uh, or you may not be so strict. You may have some flexibility there. So identifying these security concerns and how they relate to um, data location and location of where you're going to run these things is an important thing to talk about. And then once we have these things kind of figured out, we can explore and develop an AI solution that meets or overcomes the challenges that we've uncovered. Um, we have tools and techniques that can be harnessed in assisting with this, and a playbook of best practices. So just a moment, I need to rehydrate here. I'm not used to talking this long in a row. All right, so what lurks behind the curtain now is my fancy title for, I'm going to talk about some keywords that you may have heard or buzzwords that you may have heard, and kind of give a brief explanation of what each one is in case any of you don't know. Uh, the LLM, or large language model, this is a machine learning model, and this is basically a collection of numbers that sit in a file, right? So without getting into all the math and everything, the machine learning model is the thing that mimics comprehension and pretends to be human by responding to a query with words, or prompts, as they're called. So these models are trained on vast amounts of data, like the entirety of Wikipedia would get fed into a model training environment with thousands or 10,000s or hundreds to 10,000s of GPUs all connected together, learning from the data that they're presented over days, weeks, months, right? So um, these are big, huge machines that basically take in vast amounts of data. GPT-4, Llama 3, Falcon, Claude are examples of these commercially available LLMs that have already been trained. In other words, they've already put all the investment into the data center hardware to develop these models. Uh, think of these models as ability to converse in a wide range of topics, but lacking in deep expertise, right? And if you've ever played with any of these online, you'll know that there's like a cutoff point. Like this thing was trained with data up until March of last year. So if you ask it about any current events, it's not going to know anything, right? Um, but it's going to be able to tell you the relationship between a resistor and a capacitor and an electric circuit, right? Because that's fairly common. Um, so those aren't very useful on their own necessarily. And so what we're seeing companies do is something called RAG, or retrieval augmented generation. And this is where we take your domain specific knowledge, like your company knowledge base or your set of documents, or if you're a manufacturing company, like you're a car manufacturer, it might be all of your car manuals, right? The user manuals. And we chunk those up and index them. So when we ask a question, we then take that part of the user manual and feed it to the LLM and then ask it the question. Kind of like, here, read this book real quick and then answer this question. It's like reading a section of the user manual right before answering the technical question. This is a handy way to get around the naivety of a general purpose large language model, and it can make it very useful and customized for your specific business. That's one way to do it. The other way companies are doing it is through fine tuning. You may have heard about that, and you will hear a little bit about that later on in our presentation. This is the process of continuing the training of a large language model with the domain specific information, like the user manuals or your company's data, for example. So we basically take the trained model that was trained in that giant data center and we pull it back into the lab, and we do a little bit more training on top of what it was trained for generically, and add your domain specific knowledge. We don't need as many GPUs, maybe just a couple, maybe 100, depending on how much data you want to fine tune with, but it doesn't require these massive clusters that were used to generate that original base model like GPT-4, Llama 3. So one attribute of RAG is there's kind of a time delay between asking the question, looking up the pertinent documents, feeding them to the LLM, and then asking it the question. That takes a little bit longer than fine tuning, which all that pre-baked knowledge is built back into the model, so the model is more responsive. Costs more money to do fine tuning, more resources, but it generates better results. If you need really fast responses, you may want to choose that path, and we can help you identify one or the other. So gone are the days where you need that 100 to 1,000 or 10,000 GPUs in a data center to even attempt doing large language models. We could take one from a commercially available one or an open source one from Hugging Face and do RAG or fine tuning on top of that to deliver a good experience. Another term that I want you to be familiar with is computer vision. I'm sure people have heard of this one before. It's been around for probably about 20 years. It's a branch of AI that processes visual data like images and video to identify and understand what's in them, right? This processing could be facial recognition, object identification, anomaly detection, like why is there a White Sox hat at a Cubs game, for example, right? Maybe that's an example, to name a few. And then multimodal AI, which is some fairly new term that's out floating around. This is where we take multiple AI technologies, mash them together to improve either the outcome of an application or a real-time interaction with data. So one emerging example of multimodal AI is the ability to chat with contents of video streams. So forensic teams can more quickly analyze like security footage. Like, okay, show me all the people that are wearing black shirts that just got out of a red car, right? And that instead of doing all the steps to analyze, okay, find all the red cars and through a UI and click on this and then refine searches and all that, you just kind of give it natural language, and the AI platform first uses LLM technology to dissect what you're asking, and then it goes to the Vision AI component to extract the data that you're looking for. So those are some terms that I wanted to queue up for you, just so you're not caught off guard in the rest of the presentation. All right, so let's look at some use cases. There are some with which I have great familiarity. And so the top four are the ones that I'm working with directly. Retail agent assistant. So an operator behind the counter at a retail store uh, identifies the customer at the counter, uh, gets that information or identity established, and then can find information that it needs about that particular customer and their purchase history and what they, it allows quicker access to data rather than, again, logging into an order entry system to find out what the details of this customer's order was. If they have a question about something that they bought, I can more easily get to that information in real time. Um, theft prevention. One of my clients has video cameras in their retail locations, and they're looking at monitoring customer behavior inside those outlets. So it might be missed a scan on the self-service cash register, like, put something in the bag without scanning it, or it might be accidentally leaving something in the shopping cart and walking out of the store. So kind of alerting on anomaly detection in video streams. Um, Another use case that I'm working on is an online store with intent-based product searches. So rather than going in and looking for birthday candles and birthday cards and party favors, I might just tell the website that I'm planning a birthday party. What do I need, right? And it can ask some questions interactively with me, like, is it a boy or a girl? What's the age and all that? And then put together a list of suggestions. This makes it easier for me to get something done on a website storefront, and it makes it less likely that I'll get interrupted and then forget what I'm doing and go somewhere else. It helps drive the closing of that sale. And then another one of our customers is using AI for marketing content creation. So it's a big marketing company, and they're all in on AI for image generation and graphic generation. It's making each one of their graphic designers much more efficient. So those are some examples that I'm quite familiar with. And then other use cases are in fraud detection. I don't know if you know this, but your credit score is an example of AI in action, and that's been going on for how many decades, right? Um, so fraud detection or credit worthiness decisions based on artificial intelligence are commonplace in the market now. I don't know if you've ever gone to a store and your card was declined and you get a text from the credit card some company saying, this doesn't look like it was you, can you confirm that you wanted to do that, right? So these kinds of front running fraud detection help save money. There's investment recommendations. I read an article the other day about somebody who's turned $1,000 into $1,000,000 in 30 days using AI to make day trading stock predictions. I don't know if I believe it. I kind of wish I could do that on my own, but I'm not sure. But we definitely know that companies are using AI to make investment recommendations. Predictive IT maintenance. So AI in monitoring log files from IT devices can determine when certain equipment is showing signs of failure, allowing you to proactively replace critical components. An example of that would be HPE's InfoSite, where it can actually predetermine when things are starting to go wrong before it's too late to fix problems. Another use case, probably way outside of the scope of us folks here, but is drug discovery. They're using AI to eliminate potential molecules that they're designing, and focusing on the ones that show more promise through machine learning. And then we have tools like Vaidio AI Vision, which is powered by HPE, making some of these computer vision use cases possible. We go to the next one. And so I'm ready to transition over to to Zack Pringle. If you want to go ahead and take over and talk about your product, that would be great.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you, ACP team, and thank you everyone for hopping on the call today. Zack Pringle, Regional Sales Manager for IronYun. Um, IronYun is a US-based company. We're headquartered out of Stamford, Connecticut. We're NDAA compliant, we're TAA compliant. Okay, and what we have developed is an agnostic AI suite of analytics. We have 32 real-time analytics, shrink wrapped, ready to go out of the box. Things such as weapons detection, handguns, semi-automatic weapons, long rifles, facial recognition with the ability to do GDPR masking, cross-camera tracking, loitering, slip and falls, object removed, object left behind, scenery change, heat mapping, smoke and fire, just to name a few. Okay. We are both a real-time and a forensics tool. We trigger our real-time alerts in 2 to 5 seconds or less. We trigger that out either as an email, as a text message, as a bridge back to the VMS, to a central station, or out through the mobile app. Okay, I'll never tell anybody that we engage with or anybody on this call that our analytics are 100% accurate, because they're not, but we are hovering anywhere between a 95 to 97.5% accuracy rate. It's also important to understand that we're on version 8.1 of our software. Most AI companies coming into this space today are version 1 and or version 2. And when you think of IronYun and you think of the Vaidio AI vision platform, think of us as just an overlay to the current system in place. We can work with the existing IP on-VIF compliant cameras, and we're integrated with 30 of the major VMS platforms that are deployed out there today. Next slide, please. So when we talk about the Vaidio analytics, right, it's both real time, you can monitor, you can search, you can report, right? Again, just I'll touch on a couple of them, right? The intrusion detection, loitering, right? Again, let's talk about maybe a retail application. You want to know if people are coming into your store, are they going right or are they going left? Where do you set up your highest margin items, right? Things of that nature. Are you experiencing shrinkage? And if someone comes in and takes more than one of this particular item, please trigger an alert, right? You're able to head that off before it becomes a bigger issue. Again, right, access control. We do have facial recognition, again, depending upon the state, depending upon the organization, but we do have the ability to do GDPR masking as well, right? Again, from an investigation side, which I'll touch on here shortly, the ability to go back, God forbid, and look at either hundreds or thousands of hours of video footage and find that needle in the haystack literally in a matter of seconds. But again, when you think Vaidio and you think the AI vision platform, yes, security is the sandbox that we originated in, but our AI vision platform is really a plug-in for anything that the camera can see. So whether it's security, whether it's business intelligence, whether it's operations, whether it's inventory management, whether it's safety and security, whatever the camera can see, if you, your organizations, your customers want to know about that, if it's not one of the 32 analytics shrink wrapped ready to go out of the box, IronYun does have a DIY tool, which allows you, or we can do it as a professional services, to create customizable analytics. And again, right, with vehicles, we can detect on over 220 different makes, 2,200 models of vehicles, right? License plates. You can set it up to where you have a list. So maybe let's talk about a school, for example, right? Maybe there's a custodial issue and maybe a mother or a father does not have custodial rights. You can put that into a list. If that individual shows up at your school, it will trigger the alert. So you know exactly what you're dealing with before that individual can even get into the school, as an example. Next slide, please. So again, right, if Vaidio can see it, Vaidio can understand it. Now, Tanya, I know that you have access. Are you able to click on any one of these scenes? Because this is really more more about our DIY tool. Okay. All right. Guys, she can't, but I'll touch on another video a little bit later on, but I'll just touch on three of these. This first one here we did for the largest crane manufacturer. They wanted to be able to have real-time situational awareness for the operator of the crane. So as this crane was going down the road, right, it picks up a person on a motorcycle or a bicycle, and it would trigger the alert inside the cab of the crane to give real-time situational awareness to the operator of the crane. The one with the baby, we did for a neonatal intensive care unit where they asked if we could detect the heartbeat of a baby without having to be hooked up to wires and monitors. It's messy for the baby, it's messy for the staff. We used a GANS thermal camera. And if this one was up and running, and I could certainly send everybody on the call today this particular slide so you can see it, you would see a slight fluctuation in the baby's face, and that is how we are able to get the heartbeat of the baby, right? Let's talk about weapons detection. I will tell you the weapon does have to be visible. If that weapon is visible, we will trigger the alert. And I'll just touch here on a retail application that we did. This particular retailer lost $50 million in power tool theft. Again, the DIY tool, they asked if we could create an analytic that would trigger an alert when the shopping cart was 20% full, 50% full, 75% full. We did that in 8 weeks. We did that with a 98% accuracy rate. Then again, thinking vision AI, right? If the camera can see it and you want to know about it, we can create it. But then they said, let's get more granular. And can you please only trigger the alert to the sales associate when it's DeWalt power tools? So we trained that model and had that model up and running within 7 days. Next slide, please. So again, right, we do have an open API. A lot of companies that are out there today touting AI, they're closed proprietary systems, which means you got to use their analytics, their cameras, their VMS, or their cloud. With IronYun and the Vaidio AI vision platform, we really don't care whose cameras, we don't care which VMS. We're also cloud agnostic, so we can run on-prem, we can also run in the cloud. And again, with that open API, it allows you, your organizations, your customers to have that flexibility. So as the needs of an organization change, right, we are able to change with them at that particular time. Next slide, please. And just some market validation, right? IDC, a major publication in the securities world, has come out and listed IronYun as a quote unquote major player in the AI space, right? NVIDIA, who's the chip maker for everything that is AI, and one of our partners, has come out and said that IronYun's Vaidio AI vision platform is one of only a handful that ranks highest in terms of our platform maturity and driving real world value. And we won a couple of awards along the way out at ISC West, dating back to 2020 for our commercial monitoring, a two-time winner in 2021 for our mobile solution and video analytics, one-time winner in 2023 for loss and prevention. And this past year, we did take home best in show and best new product, as well as best managed services. Does anybody have any questions?
Hey, Zach, I was just going to ask if you had a demo for us.
I do. I'm going to get
to that. I think it would be. I think it would be good to see. So this is just one example of a computer vision application, and so let's take a look at it. See what it looks like.
Perfect. Can you guys see my screen?
I can see it.
All right, perfect. So all we're doing right now, and I'm running this off my personal hotspot. So we're just pulling in RTSP streams from Earth cams around the world, right? Abbey Road in London, Chicago Cubs Wrigley Field, New York Times Square. So from a forensic standpoint, we'll start there. Let's say that I wanted to do a search from midnight last night. So call it about 720 hours of video footage. So let's just say that I want to do a search for a vehicle, right? So again, in 1.8 seconds, I rendered back 85,966 results, right, on the cameras where I'm looking for a vehicle. So I can click here, right? I have my magnifying glass. So if I need to get into this scene, I certainly can. I can download this as a JPEG or an MP4, and I can also have my bounding box, right? So as I'm moving through this scene, you can see, okay, it's highlighting that. It's highlighting this vehicle here, right? This vehicle in the regions of interest that I've specified, right? So now again, right? Did we miss? Yes. That's why I'm never going to tell you that we're 100%, right? But you can see all the other vehicles in the regions of interest. I also have my mapping capability. So here's my date, here's my time, here's the location of where that vehicle has been picked up, right? Now, again, I can get very granular, right? I can start to look for a list. So again, whether that's a school list or, maybe it's a organized crime that's targeting uh, 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 retail shops, right? Manufacturing, maybe it's a disgruntled employee. But again, on the vehicle side, I can look for a list. I can look for a license plate, right? So let's just say here that I'm looking for BBY, or maybe I have to track. Give me 1 second here, guys. I apologize. My apologies. So I'm just going to do, guys, give me 1 second here. I don't know, I'm on my personal hotspot, so bear with me here. Give me a second. I may have lost internet, so give me a second to refresh this. Just give me a second. My apologies. Can everybody still hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can. Can
You
hear
guys
you
can hear
and
me.
we can see your screen.
Okay, give me 1 second because it looks like here I may have lost the connection. So give me 1 second here. My apologies.
Or we could watch an episode of Person of Interest, right? It seems kind of like high tech, nifty science fiction stuff, but
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to come
yeah,
back to this. I'm going to have to come back, Jeff and team. So I apologize. You guys can see my screen, right?
yeah,
So I'm going to talk here on the Vaidio DIY. This is the DIY tool. And what we did in this one is we're going to show how you can detect product defect, right? So I'm going to click play here. You're going to see us training a model to recognize a pristine PPE mask and then also vaccine bottles with a mislabel. So I'm just going to let this video play and then we'll talk here. So there's the image of a good quality PPE mask. Again, it's coming down the conveyor line. It's normal. It's normal. Now there's an abnormality triggering the alert. So now we're recognizing a defective label. You guys can see that?
yeah. COVID-18. I'm
Okay.
glad we skipped that one. Oh,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now let's come here to our Vaidio data, right? So when we talk about data, whether it's in a retail, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it's in schools, right? So again, you will have the ability to customize this dashboard to how you or your organization would want it. So right now we're just picking up on the number of vehicles, right? The average number of vehicles. So again, I can get granular. Okay, I'm looking at buses or I'm looking at motorcycles or I'm looking at a truck, right? Or again, my LPR list, right? So here's just my list. Here's my blacklist. Here's my stolen list. Here's my VIP list. And again, you can get the breakdown with the ability to customize the dashboard to the needs and or wants of your organization, right?
Like, dude,
Now,
where's my car? Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So now, Jeff, I know that you talked about the large language models, right? But really the next frontier, right, is this generative AI. And it'll either be at the end of this year or the end of Q1, right? At some point here, you're going to be able to verbally command. So you'll be able to say, okay, on camera 123 Main Street, I'm looking for a black BMW 7 Series with a male who is wearing a red hoodie and khaki pants. But all I'm doing is just clicking on this, right? And I'm just asking simply, what's the man doing? I'm just going to click here and I'm going to click send, right? And you're going to see here the image shows a person who appears to be a pickpocket, right? The pickpocket reaching out towards a
Yeah.
handbag, which is being carried by a woman. The pickpocket's hand is positioned as if they are about to grab the handbag. The image captures a moment of potential theft.
Right. So we're using LLMs to enhance our interaction with the
Mhm.
data application, right?
Yes,
Got it.
absolutely,
Cool. So
absolutely.
I think
So yeah,
our yeah, I, we're running a little bit long here, so I think we need to move to the next
okay,
section, if you don't
okay,
mind.
perfect.
Um,
No, no, no problem.
this is a great example, and folks on the webinar, we have package solutions ready to deploy this application if you need it, right? So, but with that, I'm going to hand it over to HPE, Michael Meeks, if
All
you
right,
would take over with your part of the presentation,
Yeah,
and then
absolutely. Let's go
and
ahead and get
thank you very much,
moving.
Zach. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but we'll anybody that wants to see this in more depth, we're happy to have a conversation.
thank you, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, Jeff, and hello to everybody on the webinar. Great to be with you today. My name is Michael Meek. I'm one of our channel sales managers here at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So have the pleasure today to talk about a little bit of our ProLiant portfolio and what our perspective is on AI, right? There's obviously a much larger discussion than what we can have in a few minutes, but I just really want to highlight on kind of what we're seeing from a trend perspective related to AI for you guys, you customers on the line, and then also a quick review of some of our latest and greatest and how we think you can apply it really quickly. I know there were a few of you in the chat who talked about Copilot, so go ahead and stick around and I'll show you a private version of that we can guarantee your enterprise's data is going to be completely protected. But so let me go ahead and jump in, right? You guys didn't know this isn't a webinar today. This is actually a birthday party. Our ProLiant Core Compute Enterprise Standard Server family is actually 30 years old this year. We're actually about to turn 31, so I'm going to end up losing this slide before too long. But we really, believe here at HPE in the power of compute. This is something that we've been at for a very, very long time and have thought leadership in the industry. And all that just to say is that, if you're an HPE customer, thank you. If you're on the fence about where to go and take your compute business, we really encourage you to look at ProLiant because we've been doing this a long time. Our Gen 11 portfolio, which is the one here on the screen, we've re-enhanced the bezel for our 30th anniversary, right? Really is future-proofed to handle next generation workloads. A study done by Pew Research shows that data centers across America and the EU ended up finding that 40% of servers are more than 5 years old. They do 7% of the work, but they take up 66% of the power, okay? This is the equivalent of 40% of us on the call eating all the food at lunch that we're going to go to right after this, and you eating all of the food, but you're only going to do 7% of the work afterwards. If you ask me, that's not particularly fair. And as we've spent time in customers' data centers, almost like the one that Jeff has in the background there, customers love their data centers. And they take us in and everybody's really proud. Sometimes you've got those funny things on your feet to make sure you don't have static electricity, whatever that may be. And you walk around and it's loud. Sometimes you have hearing protection on and you go to the bottom of the rack. It's always at the bottom of the rack, the oldest server that they have. And the customer scream shouts, "This is my Gen 5 server that's still running." And they're proud and I'm proud and everyone's proud of that server is still up and running. But the reality is that server no longer serves you. It's no longer doing its job. And if you're even considering what the future of AI will look like for your business, if you have legacy infrastructure, it will be completely a non-starter to keep that going in your data center. The first thing that our CEO Antonio Neri says whenever it comes time to what the roadmap of prepping yourself for AI looks like, a lot of times it's data and getting everything consolidated. But there should be a huge emphasis on the hardware that you have in your environment and whether or not it can support those next generation workloads. And the reality is that customers are getting ready for this wave of AI. This time last year, 30% of our ProLiant servers went out the door with a GPU in them for some form of generative AI or AI workloads. I tell this story for two reasons, right? The first is that if you are not looking at something related to AI, it's very likely that your competitors are. And the second reason that I bring it up is in a little bit of a story, right? I know I'm running short on time, but hopefully this will drive it home. So I'm based in Houston. I've grown up in the Houston area my entire life. I grew up, if I would have been a rice farmer, I would have been a fourth generation rice farmer in my family. 256 people in my graduating class. Really grew up in a small town where it's the kind of place where they send you bills at the end of the month for what you spend at the co-op or to get your hair cut rather than paying on site. So my first year of college, I moved to Austin, Texas, and I went to the University of Texas at Austin. And I'm driving my car down the road, my pickup truck, obviously, and I'm driving and my steering wheel starts to shake. And I call my dad. I'm very close with my dad. And I say, Dad, where do I go? My steering wheel's starting to shake, and I don't have the typical place where I would usually go. My dad tells me, hey, pull over at a tire shop, any tire shop you see, and they'll be able to take care of you. You just likely need an alignment done. So I pull over to Discount Tire. And many of you may be familiar with Discount Tire. You know what's coming next. I walk inside and I say, hey, and I puff up my chest, right? Just moved to the big city from a small town. And I tell the Discount Tire employee, I need an alignment done. And the Discount Tire person looks back at me and says, we don't do alignments. We just sell tires. So the reality is that it's not the point of the story is that it's not lost on us that our competitors are likely facing the same statistic, right? 30% of servers going out the door. But the secret sauce, what makes HPE like that small town tire shop are going to be one, partners like ACP, and two, the integration of our technology to ultimately get that time to value and workload accomplished. So again, HPE really at the heart of everything that we do are engineering great and foundational products that can take you into that next wave of AI. Our ProLiant family, we've got a whole eye chart here that I won't go through in depth, but I just want to point out is that our portfolio has been optimized and future-proof for those next generation of workloads. You can know whenever you go for almost like a DL320, we have a solution that'll power what Zack went through for IronYun with the Vaidio IronYun solution. Our DL380A will hold up to 4 double-wide GPUs with no liquid cooling. And then our DL384, which we launched this year at HPE Discover in Las Vegas, is going to be a ARM-based Grace Hopper CPU GPU fusion with NVIDIA. All of this kind of goes into a larger direction that HPE and NVIDIA have committed to go at together, which is going to be this NVIDIA AI Computing by HPE. This isn't a product in and of itself. We've got products that we'll talk about here in a second, but this is a partnership. What this means is that you guys as consumers, as customers, as ACP as a partner, what you can take into consideration when you work with HPE is that we have one of the best relationships with NVIDIA in the market. It means that we're going to be time to market with their products. You can count on the latest and greatest, some form of availability being there too. And you can count that that we're co-collaborating with NVIDIA to make sure that our content is updated, that it's the latest and greatest, and that our partners are trained and ready to go at this together. NVIDIA, I point out the content piece because NVIDIA is very excited to work with us at HPE because we have those joint solutions and because we are a partner-first organization. It means that we rely on our partners to truly scale and to be kind of our hands and feet as we push the technology and really your business outcomes forward. And again, unless obviously you guys are here, you guys know that AI is impacting every piece of the various industries, right? Jeff did it very poetically earlier, talking about the way that AI plays into every vertical, every industry. And if you're wondering, right, where can I go? It's really about dreaming of the art of the possible. It's about having conversations with your business line managers and saying, what are your biggest problems? What are your biggest challenges? Where are you losing on your P&L, and then finding a way to back that into a way that the latest and greatest of technology can power you forward. AI isn't something new. It's not something that has just kind of come out of the clouds imaginarily, right? It's really an intersection of data and compute power really merging into one place. And so it's time to kind of demystify it and figure out what it can do for your business. But the reality is that it is scary, right? Our kind of preliminary data shows that 1 in 10 AI pilots make it to production and truly have time to value. And really the biggest thing is going to be this first box in the upper left is time to productivity. The time that it takes to build an AI solution, to pull down to foundational model and to go into Hugging Face, to teach it RAG, to fine tune it, to do all of that. Many executives and procurement and finance departments are saying, you have not given us the return that was promised. We are axing this project. The second piece is going to be data privacy and governance. I'm sure you guys have all seen, I know at HPE, if I go to chatgpt.com, right, what I'll find is I get a big pop-up and it says, do not put company's proprietary information here. One of the reasons that AI pilots fail is because of data governance. You likely need some form of guardrails to protect not only your company's data that goes into a model, but also controlling what information comes back to make sure that you and your business are not compromised. And so what we're excited to announce is our private cloud AI solution. These are t-shirt sizes that come pre-built with server storage, networking software, integrating NVIDIA AI Enterprise to help you power the next generation of AI workloads. What I'll say is that this is a t-shirt size, right? This is a pre-built bundle, and that's really valuable for a few reasons, right? First, coming out of the box, you know that it works. You know that you can turn it on and you can accomplish that first piece, which is immediate time to value. The second piece is that it's private. This is on premise, and while we can integrate and pull data sources from the cloud, this model and the integrations that we have with NVIDIA AI Enterprise, I'm going to show a demo here in just a second. You can count on this being your own information. You are not taking your company's information and feeding it into a larger model. So those are the two of the biggest hurdles that we've been able to address and accomplish really quickly. And I'll say this small one can use up to 4 L40S GPUs. It's actually a pretty small solution and fits in a half rack. You don't even need to have an entire rack in play to get this going. So definitely something that we believe is affordable to even some kind of those upper echelon SMB and mid-market customers who are really right on the cusp of figuring out what generative AI can do for them. So let's take a quick tour, a quick demo of what this product will look like. We're going to pull some of the information that Jeff talked about with regard to kind of the AI buzzwords, the AI terminology that you need to know. But first, before I start, I want to paint that HPE is really shifting the way that we do business, so just away from hardware and hardware solutions to an integrated model to give you a cloud-like feel. And the place that we do this is right here in the middle of the screen, a unified experience through HPE GreenLake Cloud. So you will be able to manage this AI environment from a web-based portal. Once the hardware is spun up and put together, you'll be able to see this kind of all in one place. So whenever you go into the GreenLake Cloud, you can think of this as like applications on your phone. You've got a mail app and a Facebook app and whatever it is that you may have. The private cloud AI is going to be an application that exists as part of your entire ecosystem. So what we're going to look at here is what it looks like whenever you log into NVIDIA, into our private cloud AI platform. So the first piece that you're going to see is that whenever you log in, is that you're going to get an overview, a dashboard of whatever it is that's going on inside of your entire environment, as well as charges per application that are being used. The demo that I'm showing today is what we're going to do to create a GPT, a really quick GPT-like model where we'll do some form of RAG. Bonus questions if anyone in the chat can type out what RAG is and what it means, but we're going to fine tune a model on the fly. What I'll say is that, we invite you guys to come in and lean in a little bit more with this, with ACP and with us, where we can go through, but I'm going to go ahead and get started on the demo itself. So first, again, you're going to get a visibility dashboard here. The first piece that you would do if you were trying to build a GPT-like model is you've got to identify a model itself that you want to pull down. We've identified and pre-curated some of the most common models that you might want to pull down are application sets that you would want to pull down. Application set isn't really the right word, but it's a little dense, right? But what you'll see first is that this front end has integrated seamlessly with NVIDIA AI Enterprise. One of the first things you'll find out whenever you start researching AI is that NVIDIA AI Enterprise is going to be one of the primary landing zones and the primary working places for your AI workloads. What this does is it shows seamless integration with a series of foundational models that have been created in the large space, and then you can pull down that sort of framework to implement your own data into privately. Outside of AI Enterprise, we've also pulled a series of workloads and kind of the most common for data engineering, analytics, data science. If what we have is not enough, in the upper right, you'll see the ability to import a framework that can ultimately work for you. All right, so in this assumption, right, we've pulled down the Llama 3 80 billion parameter model onto a micro version of our private cloud AI. And the second piece that you need to power a model is you need to pull data into it. So whenever it comes to pulling data into it, we know that customers have a variety of data sources. The world is inherently hybrid, meaning that you've got some data that lives in the cloud, some of it that may live on premise. We've got a variety of sources that can funnel in and power this model. I personally like and will encourage everyone on the call to look at the GreenLake for file storage. This is powered by HPE and is really going to give you those kind of IOPS that you need to calculate data quickly, right, for your storage. And the second and the final piece is that we're going to pull everything together in a solution accelerator. We've curated some of these by industry of what we think could be most applicable to your business. Again, this is a big product. We really want to lean in with you guys and get more information. But what I'll say here is that we're going to deploy a quick virtual assistant. This is doing what we've talked about, identified a model, powered and deployed in data, and is now setting all of this up into a single application that we can see. When we launch this virtual assistant, you'll notice that it's going to look and feel like Copilot, like ChatGPT. But I want to be clear, what makes this different is that this is your own model. Your information here is going to be protected. It's not going to feed the larger model itself. And so let's ask it a simple question, right? Why is private cloud preferred for many AI workloads? Like Jeff talked about, you have to teach models what it is that you need to say. And in this case, it's going to say, you know what, we don't really know the answer to that, but we're going to do the process of RAG on the fly with a PDF. We're adding to our private knowledge database, adding information on, in this case, a PDF that says the cloud that comes to you. And once we upload that and we enable a private database, we'll ask it the same question, right? Why is private cloud preferred for many AI workloads? And at this point, we have taught the model what to do. And because of the Llama 3 80 billion parameter that's in play, it knows how to go through and analyze this. It's been augmented with our own information, and we get something that can ultimately lead to value. So I've got 1 minute left. What I really want to say is that we've covered a lot here, right? Hopefully you buckled up whenever we started going. We said we had a jam-packed agenda, and we truly meant it. What I want to say is that a combination of ACP, HPE, IronYun is that we're really at the forefront of what AI can mean for you and for your business. We invite you to lean in, we invite you to hear more, and we invite you to join us in person so we can actually start putting pen to paper and figure out what this time to value looks like for you. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen and Tanya, Jeff, turn it back over to you guys to take us home.
You bet. Yeah, it looks like we're running over. I apologize for that. I think I got a little long-winded there. I get all excited about AI stuff. So I put in a couple pictures of what the IronYun HPE solution looks like for that Vaidio application. If you can go to the next slide. It's just, this is an example of an architecture and how many servers you might need depending on how many cameras that you've got. We've got this pretty much cookie cuttered. If you are looking at maybe doing a computer vision application on your own premises, we've got it all figured out. We can have these up and running very quickly. So let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so I do want to say we are having a drawing, and if you do need to drop, we've already got your names and everything, so we'll get to that. We're going to email out the winners after the webinar, but we can go back and finish our content here. We'll go to the poll. I just didn't want people to think we're holding them hostage over the drawing, right? So anyway, AI is inevitable. What do you believe is your organization's timeline for implementing AI to accelerate your business transformation? Kind of a pretty wildly open-ended question, but hey, let's see if we can get some answers in the chat. 6 to 12. So it's looking like somewhere between 6 to 12 and beyond 12. No nevers yet. I have seen one of those, but not in this one. And we'll be around when you're ready to engage. I think it might be a good idea to be taken in knowledge. So how can ACP Creative IT help with your AI journey, right? I think for those of you that are saying at 6 to 12 months out, this is really a good time to start getting some awareness. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with the webinar today, is help you understand some things. We can give you guidance through our Center of Excellence. We can figure out, help you decide when is it time to make a commitment, right? When you get to that point and you want to start investigating use cases, we can help you by doing an assessment and provide consulting and guidance on, figuring out what is that application that your company is going to deploy to make life better, more efficient, happier customers, et cetera, right? Remain competitive, right? We help companies in that regard as well. So if you want to, we do have these seminars, or I apologize, workshops in a couple of weeks in Chicago, Green Bay, and Boston, where we're going to be on site and inviting people to come in. You'll get an email invitation for that, where we could actually start doing the ideation process for AI applications. If you want, head on back to my diagram. And then we also help with the model selection, help you decide whether to do fine tuning or RAG, get that set up for you. It's incredibly simple with the HPE private cloud AI solutions that we saw just a few minutes ago. We can help teach your existing Python developers how to write code specific to AI, or we can help you find developers with that skill set. And we can help you make the decision whether or not to do your work on-prem or in the public cloud. Sometimes it's a good idea to experiment in the public cloud, and then once you've figured out what you're going to do, then we scope the equipment, so you're not buying too much just in case you need it, right? And then moving on to production, we again help that decision about on-prem or cloud, and decide the hardware, and we can help you maintain and monitor your applications as they're deployed. And then we're ready to move on to the next use case for you. So we offer all these services. Talk to your account rep if you're interested, or come to our webinar. Workshop. Too many W's here. Workshop next month. Next slide, please. Do we have any questions? Anybody want to put their hand up and ask a question, or put one in the chat? And if you don't want to ask it in front of the audience, you can talk to your account rep and they can funnel it to me or get us connected, we can talk. Yeah. I think we can move on to the next one. Huh? Oh, are there any single server AI offerings from HP? Yes. So we do have, uh, we can go back in the slides to the first one of my uh, post HPE slides, if you would, Tanya. That's the one right there. So this is the current generation, the 1U server that will hold 4 NVIDIA L4 GPUs. These are awesome for edge inferencing, and you can do some tiny bits of experimentation and fine tuning with one of these guys. But this is a good starting point for a 1U server. Um, we do have the DL380A as well, which will hold 4 of the big boys, the H100s and or L40S.
And what I'll say too, Jeff, is that again, our latest ProLiant family, right, Gen 11, this is the latest and greatest, has been it says at the bottom, right, purpose built for AI. When we're doing trainings, when we're talking with customers, the big word that we want to point out is that Gen 11 is future proofed. We believe that this has the availability, the most onboard PCIe lanes for GPUs. We've taken some of the motherboard and shifted it to OCP for things that are not, to get rid of, to basically leave availability for those PCIe lanes. So what you can
Right.
count on with this is that the foundation of the product has been shifted to go for the most maximization of accelerators, to work with NVIDIA, and also to look at those brought at the table with AMD and Intel. So
Right. And one of the big customers that I deal with, it's got 160 GPU cluster and a half a petabyte of high performance NVMe or Rocky storage. They started with a single server with a couple of T4 GPUs in it, experimenting probably about 5 years ago. And then that's when they eventually decided to make this big commitment. And we have a question here. Where does one even start when it comes to implementing AI? So the answer to that question is it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish. If you just want to if you want to sit around and kind of play around with model and code and things of that nature, you could actually do that on a really beefy laptop with the right GPU in it. Or the real answer is reach out to us. We can do a one-on-one thing where we'll help you figure out what that right answer is for what you're trying to do.
yeah, it's
Or
going to be business
or
case driven, almost
yeah,
certainly. So what's your biggest problem, right? What has been stopped? What do you feel like would make you faster? Is it the manufacturing line? Is it physical security? Is it access to old manuals, right? There's unlimited
right.
pieces.
And if it's really a question about nerding out on AI, we can help you get started that way too, right? If you just want to kind of goof around and see what's going on, maybe write some code or something, reach out to us. Our Center of Excellence can help get you pointed at least in a starting direction. There's lots of open source software out there, which is quite frankly what a lot of the data scientists and machine learning engineers are accustomed to using, right? But it's going to depend. And as Tanya points out, join our workshop in November. At least I could say workshop right this time. That's our starting point for you. So, oh yeah, it's right up on the screen here. All right. So we do have these workshops coming in Chicago, Green Bay, and Boston. We'll reach out to you. We'll send you an invite. And let's see the drawing. You want to pull up the drawing details, please? Right. So we are giving away these Ray-Ban Meta Wayfarer sunglasses. 3 winners will be drawn from the folks who joined, and we'll send an email out to those the 3 lucky winners. I'm not eligible because I already look cool without sunglasses. And thank you very much for joining. I'm sorry that we ran over. Greatly appreciate your attendance, and I'm hoping to have a one-on-one conversation with you coming up soon, or I'd love to see you at one of our seminars. Thank you very much. Or what?